Next up, we have our faculty and student panel, which will be moderated by DVC counselor Rain Dugan. And as our moderator and the panelists come up on the screen, I would like to remind you to put any questions you may have in the Q&A chat, as we will have time at the end of the panel presentation to address your specific questions. Rain?
Hello, good morning or afternoon, and welcome to DVC. We are so excited that you're joining our community, and we're so excited that you chose to attend Welcome Day to learn more about that community and all that we have to support you in your journey at DVC. I am, as Jennifer said, one of your DVC counselors. We have a big team of counselors here to support you. I work with general students, and also I'm very closely connected to the First Year Experience program. So we have a wonderful panel of professors and students to answer questions today. The way this is going to work is I have some scripted questions I will read to them, and they can answer, and then we'll open up for general questions from you. I see some of you are raising your hand. We don't have a way to call on you in this webinar because we have 169 participants, but we are monitoring the Q&A. So put your questions in the Q&A and we'll make sure to answer them. Okay, so for panelists, we will now have you introduce yourself, and if you could share your name, how long you've been at DVC, if you're a student, what high school you came from before DVC, and if you're a faculty member, where you attended school or where you taught before DVC. Students, you could share what your educational goal is, and faculty, you can share what you are teaching at DVC. All right, so let's start with Anastasia.
Hi, my name is Anastasia. The high school I went to before going to DVC was College Park High School in Pleasant Hill, and then I went straight to DVC and spent 2 years at DVC before transferring to HSU in 2019 with an AA in Communication Studies. As far as educational goals, I definitely want to pursue a master's after completing my bachelor's. This is actually my senior year, so hopefully then I'll go straight into a master's program and possibly a doctorate. It really depends on what I want to do. I'm trying to narrow down that field from like 20 things I'm interested in to maybe like 1 or 2.
I bet many people can relate to that, right? Trying to narrow down all of their interests. So if you do have questions about choosing a major and narrowing things down, it sounds like Anastasia can give you some insight into her process. All right, thank you. Madeline.
Hi everybody, my name is Madeline and I'm entering my 2nd year at DVC and currently in the process of transferring. As for my educational plan, I plan to get 2 associates by the end of 2021 and I'd like to transfer to UC Berkeley as a business admin major.
Wonderful, thank you and welcome. Professor Carolyn Warren, who's also a co-counselor with me.
Hi, how are you guys? So I'm Carolyn Warren. I'm a faculty counselor at DVC. I've been with the school for 11 years, part-time and full-time now. I have a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling from San Diego State University. And my focus at DVC is to provide general counseling for students with disabilities. So if you do require accommodations, as we did see in the chat earlier, I'm one of the counselors that's gonna be able to support you. And I also teach in the counseling department. We have many of our counseling faculty who do teach courses. My primary course that I teach is career and life planning. So if you are still looking for a class to teach this or to take this fall, and you're entering DVC without a specific major or career goal in mind, this is the class to take. So that's me. Welcome.
Thank you. Samantha.
Hi everyone, so my name is Samantha and I'm a 3rd year at DVC and I graduated from Concord High School located in Concord fall of 2018, and my career goal is to get my AA to transfer in English and then hopefully become a community college professor as well.
Wonderful. All right. Love to have you back at DVC. Professor Pineda Carranza. Oops, I think we need your mic on.
Hello, everybody. My name is Servando. I'm one of the math professors here at DVC. I'm going on my 6th year now. I just got tenure here at DVC. I'm very excited. Woohoo! And yeah, a little bit of my background. I grew up here in the Bay Area, and I attended a community college down in Hayward. At the time, I was a low-income, undocumented, and first-generation student. And it was there at the community college I found my love for math. And so then all my instructors convinced me, and I ended up getting a bachelor's at UC Berkeley. Then I got my master's at SF State. And so now I am here at DVC. I love it, and I plan to retire. And my motto is to empower students through mathematics. So if you ever end up taking my class, it'll be exciting to meet you. And I'll let you guys know some more information later on.
Thank you. Welcome. And Madeline.
Hi everyone, so my name is Madeline Bartolome. I went to high school at Amador Valley in 2016, and then I went straight to DVC, where I received my AA in psychology. Then I transferred to Cal State East Bay, and recently this year I got my bachelor's in psychology, and I am pursuing my master's this fall at San Jose State and focusing more on counseling and guidance, where I'm able to work at universities, community colleges, K-12 system, and help anybody, all ages, with some sort of guidance or just, finding their true passion. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. We might see you back at DVC then too, sounds like.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. So I have a couple questions for you, and then as I mentioned, we'll go to the audience questions. If you could tell us why you chose DVC, and for students, why you chose your current area of study. I know a lot of students, and many of you probably relate, start college overwhelmed with the options and unsure how to narrow them down, as Anastasia was saying, to choose one or even a handful. So students, if you could explain why DVC and why your major that you chose, and faculty, if you could just explain why you chose DVC and community college instruction. And we can, for this part, just go with anybody who wants to go first, just kind of raise your hand, find that spot on the screen where we can see your hand, and we'll go in any order in which you feel inspired to share. And I see Madeline's hand.
I chose DVC. First, I was researching, because I live in Pleasanton, there was 2 community colleges closest to me. It was Losco and DVC, and I went to the career fair, and for some reason, DVC just had me, they provided so much information, and they really emphasized that they wanted us, students, to be successful, and they just really cared about us wanting to find our passion and just, have a great experience at a community college. So that was one reason I chose DVC. And the second one was just to save money for my parents, because they were paying for my tuition, and I knew I wanted to continue my education even further, and I know it gets way expensive, especially if I want to continue more than a master's program and get my doctorate degree. So those are the 2 main reasons why I chose DVC. And then for my major, I was always wanting to help my community get involved, try to make a difference. But like Anastasia said, there's so many areas that are involved with helping the community. I didn't know which one to narrow it down. So I went to a counselor to help me list some of those ideas and take classes that, that might seem interested in, help figure out what I want to do as a career. So I tried child development, sociology, psychology, and eventually I knew psychology was just so broad where I could work with everybody and learn so much. And that's when I figured out I really wanted to pursue psychology and learn so much about it. And I'm so happy I finally found the passion.
Wonderful. Great story. Thanks for sharing that. Madeline.
Okay, so I was first introduced to DVC actually by my family members because I had two previous family members that came. And I was also looking at other community colleges, but through my research, I saw that the student life at DVC was very lively and there were so many student clubs, and that's a big of part like of why I came to DVC as well. And also the transfer rates are really high, and that really caught my parents' eyes as well, and they were like, okay, this is the perfect place for you. As for trying to hone in on my major, it's really hard, especially coming out of high school, to pick what your life is going to be like. So I actually took a lot of sort of like quizzes, and I talked to my counselors at my high school and also at DVC, and they sort of advised me to take like a few quizzes on like what you're interested in some classes. And I actually took a marketing class, and that got me interested in business administration, and that's how I sort of developed my passions as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Professor Pineda Carranza. Oh, and your mic is turned on.
I keep doing that, sorry. So I also wasn't aware of DVC because I grew up more in like the southern part of the Bay. But when I was doing my master's program, there was a mentoring program for graduate students who could teach community college level classes while still working on their master's. And when I started teaching it, I was just like, whoa, this campus is awesome. And as Madeline said, the student life, it was just like very active. And so I decided to apply, and I ended up working here. And I love working here because I've noticed that my math department lets me take on a lot of leadership roles where I can get very involved with students. And when I was actually applying here, that was one of my questions I asked my department. I was like, you know, what kind of things does our department have that get very involved with students directly? And there wasn't many. So I've been able to work on like a lot of outreach programs that kind of help transition high school students to DVC. Students that are then here, I've been working on a lot of programs that kind of, you know, math and a lot of other science classes, and the culture can be very scary for students and intimidating. So in order for a student taking those kind of courses to be successful, one of the key ingredients is to kind of surround themselves with community and, you know, work through those struggles with their classmates and know that everybody's got each other's back. So I've been taking a lot of leadership roles and changing our math lab so it's a little bit more friendly to students. Both a community for faculty to use our math lab and students. And then there's been other programs where I've create support for students that are not faculty based, and they're called supplemental instruction. And those workshops are basically led by a student who has kind of struggled with that same course, but then was able to overcome those challenges and became successful. And so those students are the ones that are leading workshops for students. So there's just a lot of cool roles that my department lets me take on. And now with this whole online platform, I'm also figuring out how to implement that all in, you know, virtually. And so I just feel like my department really trusts me. And then with the students, I just, you know, it's what keeps me up and motivated. I've been an advisor for many clubs, math club. We had STEM, kind of like a STEM club where students were kind of wondering, like, I'm learning all this science and all this math, but I want to use it. So they created a club and they competed in, oh man, I forgot what it was called. It was some competition to help make that train that's going to go really fast. Hyperloop, I think it was called. So they participated in that. Then there was another club I advised called STEM and Color, where a lot of students were like, hey, you know, I don't see a lot of my faculty that look like me as a student of color. So let's try to like recruit each other and support each other and find, they found a lot of different like business sides and, you know, a lot of tech companies that were supporting them. And so they would take field trips there. They would invite them to our campus, and there was a lot of networking going on. So the students are just like, I mean, I don't want to, never mind, I was gonna say a bad word, but they're just super cool. And they keep me very motivated. And and they just always like, I always keep learning new things, like especially with the online transition. There's a lot of platforms that I wasn't aware of. So I'm also a student, and that's why I love being on this campus, because I'm still learning so much from my own students. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for all you're doing on campus. I hope everyone's getting the message that math is very friendly at DVC, right? So they're all going to be trying to take your class. I hope you know that. You just recruited a lot of students. Okay, anyone else? Yeah, Professor Warren.
Hey, so my career has sort of meandered a little bit, and what I like to tell students is, life and your education and career are not necessarily a perfect straight line for all of us. Some of us, we know what we want to do right from our primary education, right out of high school, and you're able to make that happen. But for many of us, it doesn't happen that way. And a lot of things can impact that, like a pandemic. A lot of people are sort of facing some life-changing decisions about what they're going to be doing. For me, it was the economic crash in 2008. And I had been working in the private sector for, about 15 years in Canada and here in California. And when that change happened, I was like, I need to kind of switch gears here. And a woman I worked for was working part-time at Merit, and she said, you should work at a community college. You're a counselor now. You can transfer those skills over. And she loved doing the work. What happened for me was working part-time for DVC and working part-time in the Peralta district. And I worked at basically all 4 colleges at the Peralta district, and they pale in comparison to DVC. I can say with 100% certainty that I won the lottery when I got a full-time position at DVC, because none of my experiences at other colleges were as rich and personally affirming as they have been at DVC. We have, I work within the counseling department, but we're lucky enough that for all the reasons that were just described, are that we have opportunities to do other things on campus, to explore other projects and meet other people, interact with our students, and sort of kind of choose things that sort of speak to what motivates us and make us feel really good, other than just our primary role. I love my primary role. I love counseling students. But it's the other things that make us feel valued at DVC that we feel like flow over to our students. So if you have people who love their jobs, who feel valued by their employer, who have opportunities, and sure, there are things that, go awry and we don't like about our job. Everybody has that. But for the most part, working at DVC gives us that sense of worth and value and that bit of excitement that we kind of bring to the job. And so when you're working with instructors and you're working with counselors, you'll see that flow over, that sort of passion and drive that keeps us there, So working at DVC is, when our job postings go up, we get a lot of response. And we get a lot of people who want to switch jobs and work at DVC. And I mean, I'm tooting our own horn here, and I'm sure there are people who have different opinions, but for sure the people I work with feel really good about coming to work and doing stuff outside of work and hanging out outside of work hours, and just making things really interesting. And so we try to bring that excitement to our students, and loving the work that we do. And we love working with students. So that's why we're here.
Thank you.
So that's why I'm at DVC.
Wonderful. So I'll ask one more question for students, and then we'll go to some Q&A questions. So students, participants, please please add questions if you have them. What do you want to know about being at DVC? What advice do you want from current, successful students and from faculty members? So you can start putting those in the Q&A. And then think about that while our panelists respond to the question, what programs and services have been most helpful to you at DVC? What would you recommend for new students to participate in? Yes, Samantha's hand went up right away.
So what was great about DVC, at least personally for me, is that I went in with this whole mindset, like I'm going to rush, get everything done and leave, but totally not the case. Like enjoy your time there. So that means so for instance, I took advantage of the honor society there. So I went in just being a generic member, and then I went in and progressed over time, and then I became the president of the club. And with that club, I was able to go to different conventions and workshops and meet different people, and then I bonded with my peers. I think there's a not bad mindset, but there's this thing that people just go to DVC to do their stuff and leave, but that's really not the case. If anything, I feel like DVC is that welcoming environment that you can go prosper in your classes, form new bonds with your classmates and professors. So taking advantage of the clubs that are there, and it's not a time commitment or anything. You go and it's a place to, bond with the community and just have fun and learn new things. Another thing is taking advantage of the different workshops or panels as well. Even when we were on campus, there would be occasionally, every day on the DVC calendar that they have, there was something new. Mental health workshops, there was essays and PIQ workshops. So those only take maybe 1 to 2 hours a day. And I was totally fine going to those because I'd go and then boom, someone is like, hey, what's your name? And you form, different bonds with people, and it's not, there's no pressure to it. I feel like DVC is more of a, welcoming experience where it's go at your own pace. No one is feeling better than you. No one is feeling lower than you. We're all in the same boat trying to, take advantage of what DVC has to offer, and then, move along through that journey, but still have support and a community, behind you, holding you up and stuff. So yeah, clubs are great. Different workshops are great. Take advantage for sure. You have time.
Great recommendations. Let's see, Anastasia.
Yeah, one of the things that I found really useful going into DVC was they have a career class that I highly recommend, which helps not only narrow down what I was really interested in, but also it just kind of taught me a little bit more about myself and what I'm expecting from a major, what I'm expecting from my college experience even, and what I'm expecting for the future. So that was very helpful, as well as I cannot say the counselors are incredible. I cannot say this enough. They're amazing. My counselor, Nancy, I bugged her almost multiple times a day, every day, up until I transferred. And she was very nice and accommodating and pretended like she wasn't annoyed with me. I could see it towards the end. She was like, I can't wait for you to leave. But she was very nice. And any question I had, no matter how stupid it sounded when I said it, she answered it. And if she didn't know, she immediately emailed someone. She was like, oh, I know they know. So I'll get back to you by the end of the day. So please use your counselors. They're incredible in everything that they do, and they work really hard, and you guys don't visit them enough. Another thing, I know it was mentioned earlier, but I was also part of the speech and debate team, and it's incredible. If anyone's interested in theater or communication or reading or literature, just really anything, they have a little bit of everything for everyone. It's award winning. They're amazing, and the coaches are incredible and really supportive, and it's a great way to spend your time at DVC. So check out multiple programs, and don't be afraid to try something new and discover you don't like it at all, and then go, okay, that was fun, and slowly back out the room.
That can be helpful information too, right? What you don't like also gives you information. Yeah. All right, Madeline.
Okay, I have 3 things. The first is going to your teacher's office hours. It might seem intimidating at first, but they are there to help you succeed, and they're there to really take your time to answer questions. And it's just a good place for you to really ask your teacher questions and really get to know them, and for them to get to know you as well. Teachers are your friends. They're not just teacher and student relationships. You can be friends with your professors. The next thing is probably going to the math lab. I know, like, I think Professor Pienda Carranza also stated, like, math is something fun at DVC, and I truly felt that at the math lab. A lot of people are there to help you. There's students that are all struggling with the same things, so don't feel alone in your struggles with math. So definitely visit there. And the last, shameless plug, also clubs. I am one of the vice presidents at Phi Beta Lambda, which is a professional development club. So just like Samantha and Anastasia said, definitely join clubs. You will meet your best friends there maybe, but you will definitely build a strong community that will stand behind you in whatever it is. Like if you want to develop professional skills, I highly recommend joining the club. And also there's other clubs like speech clubs, there are art clubs. So there's so many things for you to explore, and you don't have to stick to things that you're just interested. You're always welcome to explore as well.
Wonderful. All right, and Madeline.
So to add on to everything, I think they like said the main points. So since it was my first, and I was the first to attend community college or just college in general, and I think the problem with that is it's kind of like you're brand new to this. You really don't know what to expect. I didn't have that type of resources where they can say, hey, this is what's going to happen, and all that, everything. So I took that first step in making an appointment with a counselor. I really recommend that for first year generation students who don't have any clue on what to do, because I think the first few months I was like, I can do this on my own. I could, follow whatever the list that provides you to transfer in 2 years. Yeah, it was a struggle. I was kind of stressed out on myself. So I took that action to meet a counselor, and that counselor just changed everything. She helped me so much with finding the right resources, the right schools that have the same opportunities, like just making everything convenient for me was just helpful. And I still use her till this day, even though I don't attend DVC. She's my go-to. She helps me every single second with those like small questions, saying, am I applying the right, major? Is this the right, all this, just to make sure. And she's just wonderful. So like Anastasia said, I highly recommend counselors or just, teachers, professors. You never know. They are also there to help you out and not make you feel alone. And then there's programs too. There's the drama club. So many clubs out there. I could name so much, and they have it there for you. And it's a good way to meet people that are in the same boat as you. And another advice that I do is like just, having the right mindset on what you want to accomplish. If it's just, finding that passion, that's an accomplishment. You found something you enjoyed by, taking a class that you never knew you were gonna like be interested in, and it just, it fits you very well. And, just pushing yourself a little bit, just having that like, just challenge yourself, go out of your comfort zone, because you never know what's out there, and it's really good just to communicate with new people and, just have a good positive first year at DVC.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Okay, so we are getting some questions coming in to the Q&A that we would like you to field. Some of them are questions that someone else behind the scenes might be able to answer about, admissions related things, but we'll look for some themes here. One question that's come up a couple times is about counseling. Someone wants to know how they can pick Carolyn Warren as a counselor. And the other question about counseling is, how do I know who my counselor is? So Carolyn, maybe you could answer about.
I was just typing an answer in there, but I'll answer it live. So if you want to, so the broader question is if you're assigned a counselor, and no, you are not. So when you first start, you won't know who the counselors are. And so you can just go with the first available, or counselors who have a specialty like disability support services, which I'm a part of. And it's completely okay to sort of shop around. with counselors until you find one that you might feel comfortable sticking with. And some of our students prefer to do that, and that's completely fine. You don't have to return to the same counselor just because you saw them once, and so that's fine. And yes, you can, I will put my email in the chat, but if you want to write it down, it's cawarren@dvc.edu. And so you can email me if you want to schedule an appointment with me. But you can schedule for all the rest of you. I'm not the only counselor, so please don't bombard me with emails. You can schedule an appointment by calling the counseling center, 925-969-2140. If you want to speak to someone to schedule, or you can schedule within your Insight portal, and you can schedule online.
Wonderful, thank you. And we are scheduling an appointment starting Monday, this upcoming Monday, the 17th, for appointments the week of August 31st. So you can start scheduling appointments Monday, and you can do drop-in visits anytime, and that's also going to the website. It will explain how to get on a drop-in list to see a counselor for a quick question. Okay, we have a question. We have a couple questions about clubs that I'm not sure our panelists will know the answers to. One is there a women's empowerment club? And another is, how will clubs work now that everything's online? Does anyone feel comfortable? Okay, I saw a couple. Madeline, yes.
I'm not sure about the Women Empowerment Club, but I know there is, I think, Women in Computer Science Club, but yeah. As for how clubs will work, I know a few clubs that will have online meetings. There's Toastmasters, which is a public speaking club, and there is the DVC Rotary Club. I think they already started a few meetings already. And also my club, Phi Beta Lambda, we're gonna have online meetings, and all these clubs, I'm pretty sure they have Instagram pages as well that have links to the meetings and links to their websites as well. Yeah, and otherwise you can look on DVC Sync as well.
And Anastasia wanted to add to. And Anastasia, is it Anastasia or Anastasia?
Either work. My dad says Anastasia, but my mom says Anastasia. So really, I answer to both.
Okay.
Just what Madeline said. Yeah, there's a couple of specific clubs for women empowerment, like women in STEM and other things like that. But if you had something specific in mind, you could always start your own club. And I think that's a really great way to take kind of control of your first semester, especially if it's online. And reaching out to meet people by creating your own club would be a really great way to do that. So if there's not something specifically that you don't fit into, you could always do one yourself.
Okay, wonderful. All right, fantastic. Thank you for knowing the answer to these questions. DVC has done a really good job of transitioning lots of everything online. So student services are online, tutoring is available online, clubs, it looks like they've gone online as well. So that's great to know. Someone has a question that maybe Professor Pineda Carranza can answer. I have to take a math class, but I didn't take any math for my last year in high school. How will I catch up?
Yeah, so right now the math department, and along with other colleges, but here at DVC, any student that signs up for a math class, they can automatically start at either a college algebra class, which is Math 135, a trigonometry class, which is Math 121, or a statistics class, which is Math 142. And these three classes that you can start at, if you haven't taken math in a while, or you just, you're a little rusty and you would have normally decided to place yourself like in a lower level math class, these three courses are what's considered college level courses already. And for some majors, it might even be like your last math class that you have to take. But those three classes also have a combined support course. So let's say you haven't taken math, or you haven't done, I don't know, you haven't dealt with fractions in a while, or they're just very scary to you. And you're trying to major, the interest area that you have says that you have to finish by statistics, or you have to go in that route. Well, you can take the Math 142 statistics class and take it with what's called a support course. And then that class is pretty much the statistics class, but then they allow more time of the class scheduled so that the instructor can also work on like prerequisite material that's needed, but only that's relevant to the statistics class. Because what used to happen is that students had to take a lower level class, but that was very intense algebraically. So if a student needed to go to statistics, and that was a prerequisite course, now the student doesn't have to learn a lot of intense algebra if they're just planning to go to statistics, let's say. Now they'll just take the statistics class with support, and then that way they only review the important prerequisite material that they need that's relevant for statistics. And at the same time, those classes also have a tutor that is embedded in their course, so that if, let's say you're a working student or you're a parent and you're taking classes and you just don't have time to go to tutoring, there will be a tutor that's embedded into the course so they can also help you out. And part of that support course is also to work on like, it's probably your first time, it might be your first time taking a college math course. So the culture of it is a little different compared to a high school math course. So in that support course, they also cover a lot of study skills, time management, how to deal with, difficult life issues. As I've seen, usually students that don't pass my classes has nothing to do with their intelligence. It has to do with life and, the challenges that get in the way. So you can place yourself, you have the choice to place yourself in one of those 3 courses. It just depends when you meet with your counselor. You would have to know what's your interest area, like what kind of track do you want to go to? And then they would recommend one of those 3. I think that might answer the question.
Thank you. That's great. Yes, the support courses, wonderfully supportive. And so let's go on. There's another question, actually, it would be great for Anastasia to weigh in on, and Madeline as well. So after transferring to a 4-year university, how well prepared did you feel by community college? Was it difficult to adjust or not that difficult to adjust? Anastasia.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that because I've only done 1 year at a 4-year after transferring, but I was definitely really nervous about going in for the first time because I was worried there was going to be a drastic jump, especially because DVC offers a lot of services that help support you academically, and the university I was going to was a little bit less prepared on that front, and so I was worried about how I would handle it. And when I walked into one of my classes, the teacher gave this really intense speech about like, I'm not here to hold your hand. If you fail, you fail. I'm not going to help you. This is hard. And like 5 students got up and left, and I was like, oh no. And I was slightly panicking. I was like, I need this for my degree. And the entire time throughout the class, I'm like, when is it going to get hard? Like, I thought this was supposed to be difficult. And it felt like another class at DVC. And the thing is, DVC has professors who have taught at universities who are extremely skilled and are incredible in their fields, and they will teach you some advanced stuff, but they do it in a way that makes you comprehend it and develop skills that you are going to use at a 4-year university. So academically, I felt like there was almost no change. And in fact, some of my classes at the 4-year university were easier than the classes I took at DVC. And I was like, oh, sweet. I can just like sit back and relax and not worry about a thing in this class. So academically, DVC really, really does prepare you. And the more time you spend doing extracurricular activities at DVC and participating in the programs, that will also help you when you transfer.
Wonderful. Okay. Yes, Professor Pineda-Carranza.
I just wanted to add a couple things. So yes, exactly what Anastasia said. We do try to teach the rigor of the university level with the heart of a community college professor. And then some departments even have courses that prepare students to transition into the UC level. So like I know at DVC, we just ran our first, it's called Transition to Upper Division Mathematics course. And it's exactly for those reasons, because I know for myself, when I transferred to Cal, I was just like, that experience exactly like where I'm used to, I was used to doing pretty well on my exams. And then here the average was like a 30% in the class at Cal. I was just like, oh my God, it was just like such a shock. So the culture is very different. So if you're in a certain major and the department is offering some type of course that helps students transition, you know, there's a lot of discussion that happens in that course to prepare you. And as Anastasia said, a lot of us have taught at universities. So if you attend office hours, you can have those conversations with your instructors, and you could say, you know, I plan to transfer here. I have these two colleges that I plan to transfer to. Like, do you have any experience with any of them? They probably will. If not, they can probably have an idea of what the culture and the rigor might be like. So just ask us as well.
Wonderful.
Right.
Oh yes, go ahead, Carolyn.
If we have like 1 minute at the end to just show students, there were a lot of questions about how to find the times of their classes and that uncertainty.
In the chat, yes, and that's a really big question, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna
So
have
I could share my screen real quick and do a quick, like, just click through, and it would take 1 minute if we have time at the end. Otherwise, the chat has the answers that I put in there.
Okay, great. We'll answer them through chat, actually, because we're pretty soon going to transition to the rest of the program. But the next part in the program is about online education. So it will cover Canvas and how to find your classes and how to use all of the online, just how to get on class on Monday the 24th, right? How do you do that? And how do you know when class is if there's no times listed? So there's a lot of concern about that. Ask those questions individually because people will be typing in answers, but we'll also address it in the larger session. Thank you for bringing that up. So we have our last question for panelists, and then if your question did not get asked, like I said, don't worry, we're going to be typing responses, so keep watching the chat because you'll see a response in the chat. But for all panelists, what was the best moment for you at DVC? Or a really good moment if it's hard to say the best, maybe. Yes, Professor.
So I was teaching a Calculus 3 course, and one of my students, she told me that she's just always been very scared of math and not confident, but like she still wants to kind of like have an engineering major. So she's like, I need this class. And I don't know, I think just like by the end of the semester, she just felt a lot more confident. And then she approached me and she said that she's going to switch her major to a math major. And I was like, yeah, we need more women in math. So I was very excited. And I've been mentoring her since. So.
Great, thank you. Madeline, are you raising your hand?
Yeah. I think what I can remember is just finding that counselor. It might be annoying to say that, but I really have to emphasize it. Once you find that, you know, just that person, it doesn't have to be a counselor, a mentor who can connect with you and really just give you that feedback that you've been like wanting and like feel reassured that you're doing a good job. You know, you can get there. Everyone's been through your steps and you can achieve it. It makes your education and your experience just an unbelievable experience, and it just makes it easy. So I think that's really where I can highlight a moment at DVC.
Great, thank you. Anastasia.
Yeah, so probably the best moment at DVC, I have quite a few, but the one that I'm thinking of right now was I took a public speaking class, which was a requirement for many of you and also for a communication degree. And after my persuasive speech, my teacher actually signed me up for DVC's own personal like speech and debate competition that they do. It was really great just performing because I felt really cool. But I actually won the persuasive portion of that, which was a huge highlight for me. I felt really proud, and it also set me towards speech and debate, which I love and cannot hype up enough. It's great. But it was just a really great moment at DVC because I felt a community. I felt my teachers being proud of me, and they mentioned it like almost every class I went to the next day. All of my teachers were like, hey, guess who won? So you feel really proud of yourself as well. And that was probably the best moment.
That's awesome. We have about 30 seconds for the final comments. So Madeline, you want to add in?
I think the best moment was me actually staying on campus even after classes, because the first week I went to class and went straight home and it felt depressing. But I took this step in sort of hanging around campus, doing homework outside in the common area, and actually seeing familiar faces from my classes and trying to like say hi to them. So that was a really like nervous moment, but like I felt really excited because I was able to sort of make friends through that.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all, panelists. We really appreciate your time and sharing your experience and your expertise with our students, our new students. And new students, we really hope you feel welcomed and supported at DVC. This is just a tiny little snapshot of the kind of wisdom, advice, and experience that you have to draw on at DVC. So come seek us out. And please know that we are all available online, right? So these services that you've heard about, people are online and available to help. So don't feel like you're going to be alone and isolated in this online environment. So we will continue to answer questions on the chat. Thank you for participating to this point. And panelists, we can go ahead and turn our videos off and enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the program.